So Kell's Fall is out, and if you haven't played it, we're going to be discussing spoilers in this video, as well as just talking in general about the dev cycle and how really we're just getting started with the new format. So Kell's Fall, if you haven't played it, again, this will be your one and only spoiler warning, so get out now. If you're not gone, you're going to get spoiled. It is a mission where we are essentially going and killing Fickrul for the final time. However, you have to do this mission multiple times in order to gain knowledge on a certain tonic that will eventually be used to kill Fickrul, which in my honest opinion, it's just an octane stim because it's a green little stim that you stick into his chest. I thought that was funny, Apex fans. The game is dead, so we can at least reminisce about the good old days, right? But regardless, you know, it's the typical do the mission 3 times and you're done, except you do have to go and do expert, which is actually quite fun. It's a little bit more challenging than the base version, and listen, I enjoy a little challenge. I mean, it's not overly challenging, it's better than the base, let's just be honest, okay? The Shotgun Slayer's Fang is an interesting shotgun. I don't think it's that great. It's okay. The perks that you can get on it are okay. I might do a separate video reviewing the shotgun. I mean, overall, it's okay at best. I have to play around with it a bit more, and there's some confusing text, like you can hover over it and it says something about ammo conservation, but then when you inspect the weapon, it doesn't say anything about that, so there might be something more to the weapon that is bugged, or they just left that text in there from a pre-beta version of the weapon, whatever. You can really tell that Revenant was designed to have the same cadence as Echoes, you know, have a 3-week on, 3-week off type deal, because the running around from a radio to talk to Varix, and then going back to talk to Ido, and then talking to Ido on the radio, I mean, you can just tell, right, that this was meant for the old seasonal cadence. And that's my point here about the overall dev cycle, just not catching up yet, right? Because we were criticizing Echoes, at least a majority of the community was criticizing Echoes for its lack of diversity in terms of seasonal cadence, because we were told coming into these episodes that the cadence again would be different, and it was very much similar to what you would have in a season. But the one difference was that you had these huge gaps in between each act, and that remains somewhat true with Revenant. It just so happens that you can do everything at once, and that's that. Now, I'm not complaining because I actually like this system. I like doing my Destiny stuff in bulk playthroughs so that I can get through it and I can go enjoy other games, so I'm not completely burnt out on Destiny, right? Some people might prefer sipping their tea, some people like chugging it, right? That's really the best way to analyze this. And some people might even, make some cold brew, which is essentially just leaving the content for later, is what I'd like to say, because, cold brew can take a little while to make. Some people just wait until the end of an episode to do the whole content. There's really no wrong answer to how you play these seasons or episodes. It's really just whatever floats your boat. But I'm telling you this because we, as a community, didn't like Echoes. I wasn't a fan of it. And, the drip feed, sort of the time gating, having to do the exotic mission, I think it was 4 weeks in a row, but you could only do one step of the quest each time through, or you had to do a step that required you to complete the mission. It's exhausting from a sense of, sure, this mission is fun, but I have to do it to get the perk, and there's no real draw to do it aside from that. And a lot of people dislike that, and that again is something I do enjoy about this exotic mission with Kell's Fall, is you can do everything relatively fast, and if you have an interest in the mission, you can go back and do it. And that is the beauty of Destiny, is that the allure should not be from, mechanically being forced to do a mission, but rather you enjoy the mission, so you want to go back and do it. You like the organ, you like the aesthetic. Whatever it may be with this mission, there's something you enjoy if you're gonna do it again. And if not, you have the capability to just get all the catalyst and be done with it. And that's completely fine. Again, sip your tea or chug it. Back to a little bit more about the in-depth stuff about the mission. We do kill Fickrell, like I mentioned earlier, and his death has purpose, right? We see this somewhat tense moment that turns into a more tender moment where Aramis grabs the Echo in a struggle with Mithrax, and of course Aramis wins that battle, and Mithrax starts to transform into Nezarec, but good old Aramis Kell uses the Echo to essentially purge the Kell of Light from Nezarec, which is a really cool cutscene, by the way. I think this is maybe the most underrated part of the mission. You can see kind of like a shadow behind Mithrax that's depicting Nezarec in his big dad bod, and you can just hear Mithrax yelling, as well as Nezarec yelling, and it's just a beautiful scene, and probably my favorite story moment since the final shape, which isn't really saying that much, but it's nice to have a good story beat once again, and I think that's something that this episode definitely brought back, at least a little bit. We can hang on to that hope that the story will get back to final shape levels, which will take time, because you're not gonna just build a threat like the Witness out of nothing. But aside from that, it was just really nice to see kind of like an end to Aramis's story, with her going off with the Echo to find old Reese, as well as Mithrax, becoming the Kell of Kells of, the Elixir of Soul, essentially. Definitely feels like we will be seeing old Reese and Aramis again, maybe in Frontiers with Apollo and Behemoth, but of course we can't be too sure about that. Two things I want to end the video with. One is, for the most part, the community asked for this. We asked to have everything released at once so we could do it in bulk. We asked for a change in the seasonal episodic storytelling cadence. I, for one, don't mind it. I know that a lot of people are going to complain that there's nothing to do in the game now for the next month or so. But, it's a change of pace. I think it's welcome because it leaves you to do whatever you want. You can keep playing Destiny. There's still plenty of stuff to do. Maybe not new stuff, but there's stuff to do. And if you're a new player, well, Destiny's your oyster. There's literally so much to do. Even though the new player experience can be rough, there's still a lot to do. And if you're like me, someone who might be a little bit burnt out, or someone who plays just about every day when things are going well, take a break and, do whatever you want, man. That's the beauty of playing games, is that there's so many games out there, and Destiny's not the only one, and you've heard this spiel before, and that's that. I will be making a further in-depth video about how I hope Bungie gets back to serialized storytelling, because with these fragmented stories that episodes have brought, I really feel like it's made the game from a story perspective suffer. And you might think that the story doesn't have as big of a pull as it does, but nearly 300,000 people, at least on Steam, were on during the final shape to see the conclusion of the Light and Dark saga. So I really think that the way the story has been handled post final shape has been really poor. There was really minimal world building outside of the Witness, and now there's essentially nothing. The biggest threat that maybe we have is one that doesn't really get talked about in the Winnower, but we don't really know what's going on with that. If we can even kill the Winnower. And, you know, aside from that, we have Fikrul, who we've already dealt with, Maya, Sunderesh, who's in the wind, and of course Sivu Arath, who is extremely nerfed and not nearly as powerful as she once was. And there are probably other threats lurking out there, but those are the most prominent and the ones we're going to see more recently. But for now, that's it from me. Let me know your thoughts on the exotic mission, and I'll see you guys in the next one.